When you're building the ultimate ab training routine, one thing you need to consider is the function of your core musculature as a whole. See, a lot of people just focus on the idea of flexion, crunches, side crunches, stuff like that when you feel those muscles contract. But equally important is your core's ability to resist motion. You see a lot of people end up getting injuries, overuse type injuries, and even doing basic things like shoveling snow in the wintertime because they're flexing forward and rotating and they don't have core stability. So when you're setting up a core routine, an ab routine, what you want to be able to do is incorporate a combination of exercises that both prevent unwanted flexion, lateral flexion, so on and so forth, and also train those abilities. And that's exactly what we're gonna do today. Before you go any further, it's 100% crucial that you watch the rest of this video and hit subscribe now. All right, exercise number one, a hollow body hold. So a hollow body hold, modified gymnastics exercise. And so what I'm gonna do, you're gonna notice how I'm going very slowly. I'm gonna keep my abs engaged the entire time. So start rolling down, plantar flex your toes, so point your toes out away from you. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna keep your chin tucked, toes pointed, and arms just above the ground. And so as we're going right here, I'm gonna point my toes. As my legs go out further, that's actually going to increase tension directly on my abs. Now with my hands, as you can see, I'm off the ground, and as I come up, more tension, more tension, more tension. And so now you can even hear my voice as I'm shaking and holding this position with the hollow body. This is a non-stop contraction directly on your abs. So this is a fairly advanced variation. You can add some rocking in directly into the hollow body position. But if this is too difficult, here's what you do. First, bring your hands down. This is going to be a little bit easier. If it's still a little bit tough, while maintaining that hollow body position, you can start to bring your legs in as well. So we're gonna do 3 sets of 45 to 60 seconds on this hollow body hold. And you can start with your tension as high as you can tolerate, but then during that time duration, if needed, you can bring your legs back in or bring your arms back in so you can maintain the entire time. As you get more advanced, directly with the hollow body hold, you're gonna have the ability to hold that position out and increase the tension all the way throughout. By manipulating your body position, it's amazing what you can do in terms of creating tension directly within your muscles, and that's what creates a muscle building stimulus that's gonna help you have more visible abs. Next up, we are firing up the old school ab wheel. This is one of my favorite exercises across the board. When you're doing an ab wheel, it's also gonna build incredible strength all the way through your lats, shoulders, and build incredible core strength. As you're gonna see here, we're gonna hit lower reps. So 6 to 10 reps, that's gonna be the rep range that we're focusing on directly. The beautiful thing about training your abs, you don't just have to use high reps. When you use exercises like an ab wheel that are a little bit more advanced, well, guess what? You can begin to gradually make these even more advanced by using things such as a weighted vest or even progressing towards a standing ab wheel rollout. If the regular ab wheel is too advanced for you, that's okay. There are a lot of other variations like a TRX fallout or a stability ball rollout to build your strength. Hey, so true story here. This ab wheel was my mom's ab wheel in college. I think my mom was in college back in like 1982 to like 1986. So this thing is older than I am. Mom, shout out. Thank you for the abs. Anyway, so when we are doing an ab wheel rollout, here's what we need to understand. We don't want to shift our weight back where our butt goes towards our heels because that's actually going to take tension directly off of your abdominals. So the way that I like to do this is I'll start my hands directly underneath my shoulders in that joint stack position. And as you can see, my abs are already braced. I'm not flexed back, I'm not arched forward. Neither one of those is ideal. We want to keep constant tension in the abs. Now, as I'm going to go, you're just going to see me roll out. It's going to be creating more tension, under control, and right back up. And notice when I'm coming up here, I'm not shifting my weight back. We want to keep your hands directly underneath your shoulders in that joint stack position. This actually keeps tension on your abs all the way through. So I'm going to go out under control. Past a certain point, I don't need to kiss the ground. This can actually lead to a lot of dysfunction and frankly pain for a lot of people and losing spinal position. So if you're a couple inches above, that's completely fine. And so I like to go 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps on the ab wheel rollout. You can slow down the tempo if that's too easy. or even work your way up to a standing ab wheel position. The half kneeling paloff press, one of my favorite exercises. Now, you can do different variations of this. You can do it tall with your feet together. You can do a double kneeling, so both knees are down. I like to do half kneeling, and so in this case, my body position, first I'm gonna be perpendicular directly to where the load is, because that's gonna be trying to pull me over. And so what I wanna do is I actually wanna lock in a rock solid core position. So I'm gonna squeeze my butt, my glute on that down leg as hard as possible, and brace my abs all the way through the motion. And it's gonna be a press straight out, and the weight's gonna be trying to pull me over to the side. This is a great anti-rotation exercise, really builds the crap out of your obliques, also hits some muscles in your lateral subsystem, such as your quadratus lumborum, which is a very common kind of tweak or injury that people have when they have a flexion, rotation-based injury, kind of think that shoveling snow type position. So now we're here, we're directly out. The second rep was sticky. Here we go, now we're settled in. And again, I'm not using baby weight when I'm doing these. These are high tension exercises. So we hit all reps on one side. There we go. All right, so now we flip it around. Now we hit the other side. So here you can see that glute on the down leg. Get locked in, and press straight back. So when we incorporate anti-rotation exercises here, they're going to help us both build a great set of abdominals and obliques, but they're also going to help us improve our overall function and prevent injury. Now, one important note, you see a lot of people doing a ton of side crunches and hitting a ton of volume for their abs. Not a big fan of this, particularly when you think about your obliques, right? So your obliques obviously come down right to the sides here, and people think, hey, if I train my obliques, I'm going to lose my love handles. We can't really spot reduce like that. But in addition, anytime we're putting a lot of volume directly on a muscle, and this is what we see all the time when it comes to oblique training, well, guess what? Those muscles are going to grow. So if we do a ton of weighted flexion, weighted side bends, all of this stuff, well, your obliques, guess what? You might develop them, but they're also going to grow. And a lot of times when it comes to training abs, specifically for women and physique competitors, guess what? We don't want bigger abs. We don't want larger, blockier waist. What we want to do is have strong, defined muscles that are visible, right? We don't want bigger, we want tighter. So in the case of training your obliques, focus on exercises that don't always have a ton of contractile components. When we start to train them isometrically, such as preventing rotation, we will still develop the strength and the functional capacity that we need without having so much volume to the point where we are building muscle and actually changing the aesthetic look of your midsection. If you want to lose fat and build muscle, the number one thing you need to do, join our Look Great Naked protocol. Head to the link below, book your transformation call, and hit subscribe. The hanging leg raise is one of those exercises that most people do incorrectly, and it's an incredible exercise when you do it correctly. Unfortunately, with the proliferation of CrossFit, people doing toes to bar, a lot of people look like they're a fish out of water just flailing like crazy when they're doing a hanging leg raise. Hanging leg raises are something I actually program in for a lot of my clients as part of a daily warm-up for a couple reasons. First, this overhead action, when you're holding position, it can gradually help improve shoulder mobility. In addition, when we can improve that shoulder mobility and work on grip strength, that can inherently start to improve shoulder stability, right? Whenever you're crushing something hard, like that crushing grip, you actually create what we call irradiation. So create a fist as hard as you can. You're gonna feel stabilizers all the way through your shoulder, through your lat, even through your posterior chain fire up. Over time, hanging leg raises can be a great way to both improve that mobility and the stability of your shoulders. Now, if we're talking directly with your abs, well, guess what? We're getting flexion on the way up when we are actually doing the hanging leg raise portion. But the biggest thing we need to focus on, going under control through the entire range of motion and controlling that eccentric tempo. Finally, when we're going up, what we want to do is make sure that our hips don't just get to 90 degrees, but we actually get a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt. That is going to provide more stress directly on the rectus abdominis and specifically hone in on those difficult to build lower abdominals. Bar none, the hanging leg raise is one of my favorite exercises, not just for your abs, but for everything. In fact, what I'll do often is I will program this directly as part of a warm-up for many of my clients because it gives them direct ab work, improves shoulder mobility, stability, and grip strength, all of which are common weak points. Now, when it comes to the hanging leg raise, one of the key components here is getting your hips past 90 degrees so we get into that posterior pelvic tilt. This is going to allow you to really focus in on those lower abdominals and maximize the contraction. Second, way too many people go way too fast when they're doing a hanging leg raise. It looks like, dry humping the air. I'm not really sure what most people are doing. Anyway, I'm gonna show you some regressions, some easier ways to do it before we get a little bit more advanced. Now, the simplest way to do a hanging leg raise would actually be without hanging. That would be in a roaming chair where your arms are here and legs are coming up past 90 where you control the range of motion. We don't have that, but that is the easiest option if grip strength is a limiting factor. But today, I'm gonna show you on the Angles 90, one of my favorite tools for shoulder, wrist, and elbow health, and we'll start easy. So if we want an easier variation of a leg raise, you keep your legs bent at 90 degrees, right? Because the longer your legs extend out, creates a bigger length-tension relationship and creates more tension. So if we're just getting started, do a hanging leg raise, knees bent, and notice I'm still getting my knees past the crease, past 90, and that creates a great contraction through the abdominals. And notice I'm slow and controlled the entire way through, including that eccentric or way down, okay? So let's say that's your variation, great. Now we move on to a classic hanging leg raise. In this case, same principle, legs get up past 90, but then control all the way down. You'll be able to tell the difference in tension probably just by looking at my face. And 2 to 3 seconds down. Okay, so classic hanging leg raise there. Now, if we want to get things a little bit more advanced, probably should have done these first, we can go with a toes to bar. Especially if you're using grips like an Angles 90, just make sure you've got a really good grip on those because your weight does get shifted back just a little bit. But this is an incredible, incredible exercise, not just for your abs, but your entire body. All right, so we go a little bit higher here. And then tension. All right, so classic way I like to program hanging leg raises. One, there's gonna be a lot of variability because we do factor in the grip strength aspect of it and overall core strength. But 3 times 8 to 12 is a great way to build strength. So 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. If you start to get more advanced and grip strength is the limiting factor, then I like to take these 3 by 12 to 15 reps with about 60 seconds of rest in between. The kneeling cable crunch is an incredible exercise to build your abs. Now, you don't just have to do high reps on an exercise like this. In fact, what I like to do, sets of 8 to 12. When you're doing a kneeling abdominal crunch, what I want you to think about is actually allowing your spine to flex and contracting your abs so hard that you're trying to make them cramp. Right? When we focus on contracting a muscle as hard as possible and then controlling that eccentric, we create a ton of muscle building stress directly in your abdominals. Essentially, yeah, we're using a weighted crunch here. Again, like any other muscle group, we need tension and some metabolic stress to build a muscle, meaning the missing element for most people when it comes to core training is actually going a little bit heavier. So on an exercise such as the double kneeling cable crunch, what I like to focus on is contracting my abs as hard as possible, as if I'm trying to make them cramp. And one thing you gotta be careful of here is not shifting your weight backward because that's going to take tension directly off of your abs. So you're gonna notice I'm not shifting my weight backwards. If you do struggle with this, one thing you can do is put a small medicine ball actually between your glutes and your calves, and that can be a good cue to not shift backward. Now, as I go through, I'm gonna get a good stretch at the top. Admittedly, I am somewhat limited based on the height of this particular trainer, but just imagine it was a little bit higher, right? So, stretch my abs, and now I'm just gonna contract. Imagine I'm trying to bend each vertebrae as we go. Back up to the top, good stretch. And then at the bottom, squeeze so hard that you're trying to make your abs cramp. I'm actually going to adjust my position slightly. And the weight, I'm almost bumping in. And so I'm actually going to grip this a little bit higher up so I can create more tension on the abs. Good stretch at the top. Imagine trying to bend every vertebrae as much as possible to make the abs cramp on the bottom of the motion. Finally, I like to finish with some sort of weighted carry. You can do a farmer's walk, which is both arms down. You can do a cross walk, which is one overhead, one down. You can do a suitcase carry, which is one dumbbell to the side. That's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do a dumbbell suitcase carry. Now, because we have the weight down to our side, yes, we're training grip strength because the weight can get fairly heavy, but we're also training so prevent lateral flexion. This builds an incredibly strong core, can help prevent injuries and help you transfer power more effectively when it comes to big compound exercises like squats, deadlifts, overhead presses, cleans, all of that stuff. That's a huge benefit of having a strong core. And so what I typically do here is I like to go 3 sets of about 50 steps, and then I will switch and come back. Another way to do this, one of my favorite ways to do weighted carries, and this is a little bit better if you're trying to build up your shoulders, traps, and grip strength, is what I call a 2-minute farmer's carry. So you grab weights, like about 45 pounds, and you go for a walk for 2 minutes. And it absolutely crushes your core, your cardio, your traps, and your rear delts with your grip at the same time. So when you're doing a carry, one of the most important things is that you're methodical, you're under control, right? Because we have to dynamically stabilize our hips through every single step. So it's not just racing through and being all over, it's heel toe, heel toe. I'm coming to you right now. And we're under control the entire way. If you put your arm out, it's easier. Creates a counterbalance, but keep it tight. Your abs have to work harder, and because that is the goal. Visible abs are built in the gym and revealed in the kitchen, meaning you can't just train your abs and all of a sudden have abs. And if you want them to appear as best as they can, even at higher body fat percentages, you need to build enough lean muscle, particularly in the rectus abdominis muscles, so they show through even at higher body fat percentages. And one thing to be careful of, if you have too much lateral flexion, too much volume all the time in your abs, well, aesthetically speaking, if you have a ton of volume on a muscle group, it's gonna be more likely to grow. So if you don't want your abs to be larger, if you don't want to expand your waistline, you're gonna be better off training with a little bit lower rep schemes, creating plenty of tension inside of there, but cut back on the volume a little bit. Now, if you want a simple way to look great naked without leaving the gym and build visible abs year-round, all you need to do, head directly to the caption below, click on bachperformance.com/call. You and I will hop on a short call, break down what you need to do specifically in the gym, in the kitchen, and with your lifestyle, so you can look great naked without living in the gym. And if you like this video, please drop me a like, drop me a comment, so I can know what exactly is resonating with you, so I can make more content for you. Have a great day. Did you find this helpful? If so, pound that like button and hit subscribe. Now, if you want a free copy of our Chiseled Muscle Cheat Sheet, the no BS way to help you lose body fat and build lean muscle in 90 days, make sure that you go to the description below and download your free copy. Any questions? Drop them in the comments, and can't wait to see you with the next video.